Wes, it's so great to meet you. Congratulations on the film.
Yeah, thanks.
First, I just want to nerd out with you about Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, right.
So talk to me about first what interests you in the franchise and how long you've been a fan.
I've been a fan since the original. I was born in 1980, but I watched that movie a lot when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Those images are like etched in my brain. So it's awesome to be here now contributing to, it's the 10th movie in the franchise, right?
Right.
I'm obviously a huge fan of the last trilogy movies, the movies that Rupert started and Matt finished with Dawn and Moore. They're just brilliant movies, you know? So yeah, it's an honor to kind of be a part of this franchise, you know?
Well, in the way that war ends, it kind of tees off endless possibilities for where
Sure.
the story could go. Where did you want to take this when you first knew that you were going to be continuing the story?
I've said it before, but I didn't want to be a part four. Part fours don't usually work, you know? And that movie was actually, I think, fairly well concluded, you know, in a way. It was this kind of hopeful ending of Caesar delivering apes to their promised land, you know? And so we wanted to find a way to kind of get our distance from it somehow, but at the same time still hold on to a really strong kind of, you know, tether to that 68 original and that trilogy that came before us. So we found ways for the ideas of Caesar to carry out into this movie and kind of be hanging over everything. He's very much a character in the movie in a way, Caesar, even though so much time has passed. And yeah, hopefully we came up with a worthy installment, you know, of what has been 10 movies now, you know.
We're seeing generations ahead of
Yeah.
Caesar's time. What has evolved or devolved as far as the apes' history?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I love the idea that there was this kind of dark ages, that, you know, certain things were lost in the time after Caesar, essentially. And with that long span of time that's crossed, you know, things have eroded. Time has eroded the world around us. You know, our world is slowly collapsing into the landscape, and truth and stories are also eroding away. Knowledge is being lost, and the myth and legend of Caesar himself is being twisted. You know. And sometimes protected by the few who remember who he was, you know, or have been told who he was. So it was a fun idea to play with throughout the whole movie, you know.
And well, I love that with all of these films, there's a lot of humanity with the apes, with all of the characters that make you feel like you yourself are an ape.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that you were excited about bringing to light that maybe humans could relate to?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what makes these movies work, right? You know, it's like we see ourselves in them. And that comes down to performance and the story and the fact that in this movie we really start like in that ape world through an ape's eyes. We see this world for the first time, and what starts as an ape story ultimately becomes an ape and a human story, which is like I think all these movies. It really works as a look at sort of how two different species or two different people. That maybe see the world differently can coexist, or if they can't, you know, that's kind of where the fun is, I think, in these movies.
Well, and you're also doing a lot of motion capture work, a lot of visual effects. What was it like working with Weta, and what were some of the challenges that were presented when you were doing this story?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with Weta VFX now for, I'd say, 3.5 movies, you know, and previous to that, you know, I was working on a movie that was a mocap movie, and Matt Reeves was a producer, and I cast Andy Serkis, so I had already kind of got my feet wet in this stuff when that movie kind of ultimately went down, sadly. But it carried on into this one, you know. And you're right, Weta VFX, the VFX, you know, from everyone at Weta, and my VFX soup, Eric Winquist, you know, he's been making these movies for a long time. You know, Weta is the best at what they do. You know, they are the best visual effects company in the world, I think. And they proved that this stuff could work. And so I got to stand on the shoulder of the guys who figured out how to make the Planet of the Apes movies work, the reboot, who figured out how to make Avatar work, you know, Lord of the Rings. So I'm in good company, you know.
Were there any challenges to like you wanting to change the tone of the film, or even if you were shooting differently from what the previous trilogy was doing?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely tried to do something new. I mean, I think it would be a mistake to just try to repeat what the previous movies were. It wouldn't work. It would be constantly compared to them, judged next to them, and, you know, we're not trying to top or replace those movies. we're just trying to make another chapter in this legacy of 50-plus-year-old movies. And so part of that, to feel a little different, was like, let's do a movie that is a bit more of an adventure. It's a bit more of a character who's a young character who has a coming of age, and gets to rediscover the world, with us, the audience. You know what I mean? And so yeah, we set out to do that, and we tried to bring a new kind of visual palette to the movie, which was fun. But hopefully, it all still feels like it's a part of, that last trilogy and that '68 original. That was kind of, for us, the two pillars that we were standing between, and we tried to fit in with.
What was the first day of set like?
That was awesome. Obviously a lot of pressure, a lot of anxiety, and it happened to be we were on the beach with our two characters, our ape in his mocap suit and Freya trudging along with these gigantic horses in the background, wading through the water, and it felt like a Planet of the Apes movie. It was amazing, So it was like, yes, we're making a Planet of the Apes movie, guys. As if we didn't realize it at first. It just somehow just set us forward. Like, yes, let's do this thing. And the iconography of all that is so, it's so iconic, that stuff. It was fun. It was really great.
And how do you see the legacy of Kingdom working within the entire Planet of the Apes saga? Like, what would be the overarching message?
Yeah, we don't try to be too heavy-handed with the message. It's there for people to see, but these movies always work in a way of, it's holding up a mirror to ourselves and the times that we live in. And so there's definitely themes in there that resonate with people. The ideas of truth and knowledge is power is a big theme that was on our minds in this thing. Yeah, so hopefully people will, first be entertained, and then second, have stuff to think about, when they leave the theater.
Do you see this being a trilogy, a new trilogy?
If we're lucky, if audiences react to this well and it's a success somehow, we certainly would hope to, keep going with the story. We have lots of plans and ideas of where this could go. We'd love to see it kind of continue on.
Again, congratulations.
Yeah,
It was such
thanks.
a fun movie.
Yeah, I appreciate it, dude. Awesome.